So I delete the demo and type again. I leave the 3 sentence to save time because it's same before with before. So the question means if the score is greater than or equal to 40, print out the graduations, you pass the exam. Or if less the 40, print out sorry. So we type if input score is larger equals 40. Congratulations, you passed the exam. And if not meets this statement, sorry, you failed the exam. Okay, this is the first question solution. And I will show the results. So if we input the 41 and congratulations, you passed the exam. But if I input the 39, sorry, you failed the exam. Okay. So the first question is not difficult. And the second is a nested if statement. It uses if else and nested if, right? It uses 2 if. So first we should judge the integers input into the corresponding day from 1 to 7, right? To check whether the input number is valid day number. And then in the first if statement, and we will output the weekday, maybe. Okay. Say it use a 2 if else statement. So I will type it again. I also delete all of these and just leave the 3 statement. Okay. So first we should judge the check whether the input number is valid day number, right? From 1 to 7. Next int. So what happened next int? What question about next int? No question. It's large. So from 1 to 7, so the day number should large equals 1, and day number should small equals 7. Right? This means and. So I believe you have learned in lecture 3. This simple, right? And okay. So if meet this function, we should to judge the day number. If don't meet, we should output what? It's not a value day number. I copy it. It's not. It's not a value day number, right? If meet this operator, we should to judge the day number, and if not, we should think output is not a value day number. Okay. So we have finished the first if else statement. Let's write the second if else. If day number equals 1, we output the Monday, right? And maybe we should 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. If 2, we should write the Tuesday. And if 3, we have write the Wednesday. If 4, the Thursday. 5, Friday. Side day. And if all of the one statement, so I plus else. Okay, if the grammar is the same with the if grammar. Okay, so I'm not explain it again. And finally, expect for the 6th weekday, we should have the final is Sunday. Right? If not meet all the if statement, they will output the else statement. Okay, so we can text it. Okay, if I input 1, they will output Monday. If I input maybe 5, they will output Friday. And if I output 7, will output Sunday. Okay. So this is the second question. And the third question, powers of 2 version 2. We want to repeat something a number of times. A loop very useful. Loop, we loop useful when we don't many math loop to Javagram. Start from 1, the less n. Use a while loop, check whether it's less than if this is the case, we go to the code block and print value. If also not to update value and multiply it with 2. Okay, so I also, do you have any input? No input, no input, okay. So I also delete all the main part and just leave the 2 statement. So it is a while loop, right? While loop. So we will first type the while and grammar. First, when it stop the loop, so to check whether value is less than n, so we should set a new variable value, right? And the value is less than number, right? So to check whether value is not the number, if meet this function value is less than 1, so execute the statement, the while loop statement. So we input value. Right? So if that's this case, we go to the code and print value, right? And we also need update and multiply it with 2. Right? Update and multiply with its 2. So value equals value times 2. Right? So this is we finish the while. And this while loop will eventually end since the while value will be doubled to finally execute the end, okay? And the value is start from 1, right? So I initial the value is 1. So this is the second question. I will test it. So what's the example in lab sheet? 100, 1, 2. So if we choose 100, maybe 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. Okay, it's right? The larger number is 64. And if I choose 1, it's nothing. Right? It's nothing. And if I input 2, it's output 1. Right? So this is the second question answer. Okay. And the fourth question, variable handling, sum 100 or more. Your program will take a integer input from the keyboard. We want to add each integer to a total and display both an outgoing total and then the final total. To do this, we need an initial integer total variable set to 0 and then a loop where user's input is repeatedly asked. This input is added to the total. The loop only stops when the total is larger than 100. Using the code you have written in the lab so far, okay? So I also delete the Just do one sentence. Firstly, we must have the while statement, right? And we have C. The loop only stops when the total is larger than 100. Right, so we have new variable total. Maybe initial it use 0 and the total smaller equals 100. So the stops when the total is larger than the 100 means it's if we want to run it, it's smaller than equals than the 100, right? So the operator is smaller equals 100. And your program will take an input from integer. We want to add each integer to a total. So we should cite integer integer named name the integer input next input scanner next int and if when I get the integer to a total and display both an outgoing total and a final total, we need to so we should plus it, right? Total equals total plus input, right? We also can write plus equals input. It's same, but we usually use this statement. And apart from this, we also need a total and outgoing total and the final total loop into the repeat asks that the total lecture notes to. We also should quarter, right? Numbers of the input was. So apart from the total, we need cite a new variable quarter. Maybe initial it from 0, and after input, we should quarter plus plus. And every time input, we should add the quarter to calculate the numbers of number. And the quarter plus plus means the quarter equals plus equals quarter plus 1, right? And next we should add some tips. What tips? Input next value. Input next value. And new total is new total is total is total, right? And have other final total is because we can see the total is a float, right? It's not a integer, so we should change the total become double, right? And next, simple out, maybe simply and simple out. Oh. Final total is number of number input words. Final total is total number of numbers input words. Okay, we have finished the 4 questions about high state. So what's the lib 14, 65, 11, 23, 40, 65, 11, 23, 100, yes, 100, 13, right? 113, and the numbers input was 4, right? So this is the fourth question's answer. Okay. And let's move to the lab exercise 31, 3.1. Write a Java program Heron that takes an input integer speed and reports whether it's categories 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5. Okay, so it uses nested if else, right? So I also delete it and just leave the 2 statement. So we can see the 7 first category is 74. So if the wind speed is smaller than 74, system out. Not a currency, right? Not a, okay. Correct. And else if the wind speed smaller 18, 96, output category 1, right? Category, okay. Category 1 current. Okay, I copied 1, 2, 3. So it's 111, 131, 111, 131, and 156. Oh, I'm more than one part. And this 1, 2, 3, 4. Else, if the wind speed is larger than the 156, it's 5, right? If the above so this is 3.1 exercise answer. I will test it. If I input 73, no, right? And if I input the 200, created 5, right? So this is 3.1 exercise answer. And one tips you should focus on, although the number, right, the input number, if I input 73, although the input number meets minus statement, so it meets the smaller than the 74 and 96, and it also meets the 11. But if it meets the first statement, they will ignore the other statement, right? So this is a tip you should focus on, okay? If it meets the one statement, it will ignore other statement, okay? So this is for 3.1 exercise, and let's move on to the final exercise 3.2. And I also delete okay. The next number is found by adding up the two numbers before, right? So the 1 is 0 plus 1, 2 is 1 plus 1, and the 3 is 1 plus 2. So the third number, 1, is found by adding the two numbers before it. And the fourth number, 2, is found by adding the two numbers before it, and so on. And write a Java program that takes an input per say positive integer n from the users and print all numbers. Okay. Input. So it must use the while loop, right? So we write the while grammar first. And when it stops, we can see, we can cite the integer, maybe number 1 is 0, initiate, and the number 2 is 1, right? This is start from 0 and 1. And third number 3 is number 1 plus number 2. right? So in every while loop, we should change the number 1, number 2, and number 3, right? So I move this statement in the while loop and 2. So after calculate the statement, we should change the number 1 and number 2, right? So after calculate the statement, the number 1 is the new number 1 equals the old number 2, right? The new number 2 is the new number 3, right? So after the statement, we should change the number 1 and number 2. And next, we can set the stop. So when stop it, we can say after the number 2, after set the new number 2. So the print all numbers in the sequence that is less than n, right? Less than n. So the new number is much less than n, right? So the new number is less than input n, right? Is less than input n. So this is a program. And next, we should cite the output, right? Cite output. So output is print from 0 to the final sequence. So we sequence number 2, but this is new number 2, right? So we can see it. Maybe 50. We can say it also right? But we missed 0, right? We missed 0. So we must add number 1. Okay. So we have print all the right sequence. And because the example is 1 row, right? It's 1 row. So we can't use print in, we must use print and plus space. And in this, we also must plus a space and change the print in to print. Okay. Oh. So it's right? We should add this, light it to change row. Okay, it's 1 row, right? And the build successful is the second row. I believe it's a theme with the live sheet. Okay. So this is the final lab questions answer. Have any questions? Okay, what questions you have? Okay, I will show the Could I see the answer of power of 2 again? Answer of power 2 again. All of the answer will upload the learning more. Okay, so doesn't matter. We will upload the all of the question and answers in learning more. When I print n, it says variable n is never read. Can you change the next line to the next NT? Because sometimes next line have some bugs, so you can change the next line to the next NT. It's better than the next line, I believe. Okay. Okay, if you have any question, you can ask in learning more form, and my teachers and the other TAs will answer your questions. Okay. So if don't have questions, I will end the